Hello, everybody, and welcome to another GAMERA film podcast episode. My previous one that I did is with Matt Frank, who is the artist and did the Blu-ray cover art for the GAMERA Blu-ray collection that I did with him like a few weeks ago. But this GAMERA podcast episode, we'll be talking about the second GAMERA film that is the first time in color, and he fights another monster. It is GAMERA versus BARUGON, also known as the US title War of the Monsters. And we have a special guest here today here tonight. So he does many reviews and does X Plus figures reviews. And please welcome Gfan 84. How's it going, my man?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it very much.
It's, it was. I'm so glad to have you on. And we've been working through this episode for a while because we have been canceling this episode for because we had to reschedule it because of our due to our schedule and all that. But we're finally doing it.
Couldn't hold us down. We finally got it going. Here we are.
So I've been looking forward to do this episode because this is like one of my favorite GAMERA films of all time.
Oh yeah, it's definitely got to be up there.
Yeah, and I know that people said that the GAMERA is the friend of all children, but this is the only Shona GAMERA film that doesn't have children in it.
Yes, sir. It's sort of a different little aspect of it.
Yeah, and so like in my previous episode that I talked with the guests with how they first discovered this film for the first time back then, and I think as far as you can remember. So, how do you first discover this film?
I want to say my dad rented this at a local sub shop where they rented out VHSs. And I was all into Godzilla, and we seen this turtle, and I was like, fire coming out his mouth. I'm like, all right, come on, let's give it a whirl. And then I went down the GAMERA rabbit hole.
Well, wow! So that's how you first discovered this film because the VHS that your dad introduced.
Yep.
Wow, that's a really good memory. And yeah, how I first discovered this film is because I first discovered on DVD that my uncle used to have that I already explained in my previous episode with Matt Frank, and he has a whole DVD collection of the Shona GAMERA films. One of those old DVDs that was before Shout Factory was released and Arrow Video, and that's how I first discovered this film. And because the American cut version was my childhood film. That was before I watched the international English dub version, the one that Sandy Frank did. Yeah. So I like the AIP version dub of it, and I'm glad they added to the Arrow Video Blu-ray collection of the setup selection.
Yeah, it was a nice little add-on that they did.
Yeah, and yeah, so that's so far how I first discovered that film, and I remember when I had to borrow I asked my uncle if I can borrow the DVD copy, and he let me have it, and I remember I watched that film so many times during my teenage years, a few years after my uncle gave it to me, and I began to like this film more than the other GAMERA films. And yeah, so
Yeah, it's
So yeah,
definitely
that's how I
up
be.
there as an awesome movie.
Yep, and I gotta say that Baragon here is kind of a cool kaiju looking.
Yeah, it's definitely got some cool little aspects to them. The the rainbow beam, the tongue, the freeze.
Yeah, and
You just got to make sure with that toy that you got a mirror with you.
oh yeah, you don't want him to to shoot deadly rainbows. Yeah, and I would love to talk about Baragon and the suit design and it. I can say the suit looks so awesome, and I hear there are actually two suits for this. I don't know if you've done a research of that.
No, I have not. Please elaborate.
Yeah, yeah. One suit is for the full suit, and the other was just the half suit that they use for the when he shoots his tongue out.
Oh, really?
Yep, it, yep. That's what I heard. And they use a half suit like a prop, and to shoot out the tongue with the to shoot out the ice powder. And that's one of my favorite effects. He shoots ice powder on.
And freezes everything. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and did you know that the ice effect was actually made out of a fire extinguisher?
Oh, really? Well, that would make sense because you notice all the smoke coming out. Sort of does look like a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, and is so so I heard that you watched the film like a few days like before we did this episode.
Yep, just to get a little caught up with it.
Yeah, and I don't know which version did you watch of the dubs. Did you watch the dubs or
I
just
watched
the
the Japanese version.
yeah, yeah, well, I watched both dub versions and I actually watched it on the Blu-ray Arrow video version and I actually watched both dub versions, the AIP version and the Sandy Frank version and also if on the special features there was a full cut version of the US version but just have a few scenes taken out.
Oh, really?
Yep, with the original US title that's added that is
Yeah, the
fully
one I watched it on was I want to say heck even 10, 15 years ago. I want to say Walmart had like all the Gamera movies boxed up in one DVD set. And seeing that, I was like, get all the Gamera movies? Why not? Let's go for it. And that's what I watched mine off of.
oh so you meant you watched the earliest DVD versions or the Shout Factory versions?
I think they might be the earliest. I think it's called the Gamera Legacy Collection.
Oh yeah, with one of the old crappy DVDs that they released earlier, way before Shout Factory. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like those DVDs. They always trim the picture, the full screen, and then
Oh,
the
yeah. Yep. Yep.
I'm just glad I got the Arrow video Blu-ray collection thanks to them, and even before that, Shout Factory released them, and
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I'm definitely going to have to upgrade them.
yeah, and I know that uh, what that the U.S. cut version was released the year after the Japanese version was released, and in nine, I have it here is I think 1967 released on television.
Oh, wow.
Yep, it's AIP television. It would release it and and also the international dub version is that's Sandy Frank was would they released that in 1987 when as when they released it on VHS in the US.
Oh,
and it was,
cool.
yep, it was released by kids. The VS Chess Company.
Yes,
Is
I remember them.
Yeah, and I'll never forget, that I explained to Matt and that in my last episode that I first discovered GAMERA on the VS Chess cover at my local video store that used to exist, and those were good times.
Yeah, those are kids nowadays will never get to experience that. Those days were awesome.
Yeah, and so so we already talked about Baragon. I mean, I think I we never talk about his terrible weakness. That is so ridiculous.
The water.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, Alyssa. I mean, let me back it up. So, like, we know some lizards can swim, like especially sea dragons. That the ones who some who live in the ocean, and but Baragon here is a giant mutated lizard, and then like his weakness is water, and because if he goes in the water, it will paralyze him, and but he shoots deadly rainbows. He shoots rainbows, but so rainbows only happen when there's near lakes or after storms and rain happen.
And he really just wants to terrorize things, huh?
Yeah, and they didn't. I bet the people who does this didn't think this through.
No, on this one, I love corny kaiju movies, Notzilla, all that stuff. Even watching the Ultraman uh, kaiju's and that. But half the time you got to think to these guys that are coming up with these weaknesses to these kaiju. Like, come on, man. Well, let's think of something a little bit better.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and also when I was watching the film, I did notice something. That remember the scene when they have the little car boat when they trying to get Baragon to the lake to drown with the big shiny diamond.
They were
If you
luring it out.
notice,
Yep.
in some shot, you could, if you look at the head carefully, you could almost see like there's a wire attached to the head on the top of his head right there.
Oh yeah, back in the Showa days, you can even see it with Godzilla movies. You can evidently see a lot of the wires. Like King Ghidorah, a lot of the scenes you can see the wires because from my understanding it took like 28, 38 people to control those suits.
Yeah.
So I could imagine, trying a long suit like that, some guy's head doesn't reach all the way up front, so they use a wire to help propel its head up.
Yeah, and I'm starting to hear you a little bit there, Gfan. Yes, but anyway, so yeah, so you actually use the wire attached to the head of like yeah, I can stand now because the the head of the suit is just so big. It looks like they only carry that off the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just yeah, and then I didn't even when I when I watched the show, I even know that diamonds that are his favorite snack, and then all that, and
Oh yeah, he loves to eat it. That's that one guy he swallowed.
yeah, and well, we'll get to him in a little bit, and and also yeah, it's what I was gonna say, yeah, and also but let's talk about the main character himself, Gamera. And I gotta be honest, Gamera wasn't really in this film that much.
There was I think to this day there is still a search party looking for Gamera to help fight.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, Gamera, he only appears in 12 minutes and two scenes, but and then the beginning doesn't count. I mean, there was some new footage and that they shot with, and when he was when he was joining the dam scene, and then right after the
Yeah.
Z plan failed, and yeah, I gotta talk about like in my previous episode, in the first Gamera film when they had Gamera locking a rocket, and the rocket is so tall, and I just laugh. I mean, how could I build a rocket so that big and thin and tall? And they have a giant kaiju at the end of the
It was a awesome moment when that came out.
yeah, and but in this film, they should actually made the rocket like a very short, and it just shows when they close the rocket, just that part, and it just looks like they just trimmed cut down the rockets for like a short inches.
Yeah.
Oh, that's better. Now I can. Yeah, you're all good. Yeah. So yeah, the rocket it looks much better than the previous one.
Yeah, and then he gets frozen, which, cuts him out for three-fourths of the movie.
Yeah, and yeah, it kind of looks like Gamma is it was all covered with baby powder.
Yeah, I mean, the way they had to do it, I mean, I would love for them to come out with something in depth on their stuff or why they did that. I'd like to really know some behind the scenes for that.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I did do some research about it. I mean, I just love the point when Baragon was walking over to Gamera to check it out, and then Gamera's eyes just lit up, and he raised his head, and then you go carefully. Like, I just I just laugh at when Baragon just nod his head like back and forth, like he's saying no, no, no. I just laugh so hard at that part. And then after Gamera's head, bows down, and then Baragon's just started walk towards him.
Yeah, he did not care. He just came full force right after him.
Yeah, and then I also look like Gamera just use his hand as just claws Baragon. It's like
Right in the
yeah,
side of the face. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He did claw Baragon, but he did. It doesn't look like he clawed him. He just looks like he just grabbed his cheek. Like
And just like ripped it off.
yeah. Oh, looks like we have a guest in the chat. It is Mr. Monster Man. How's it going?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, he was in one of my previous podcast episodes, and yeah, and oh, looks like we have Neom, my man. How's it going? Now we're starting to have some guests in the in the comments.
There you go.
Yeah, and yeah, and but anyway, I like how the monster's blood is all purplish looking.
Yeah, that was something different.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, let's get back to Gamera. So Gamera is back in this, but we already talked about how he escaped, and it looks like they just made a new suit for the monster here. If you notice, the suit looks different and all that, and yeah,
Slight upgrades to it.
yeah, especially the head. They definitely updated the head and with the fangs and all that, and
A definite positive upgrade to it, for sure.
Yeah, and all that. And so I don't know if you've done a research of how they come up with the idea, come up with the sequel of it.
No, how was that?
Well, I don't know. As far as I know, like after the first film was success in the box office, the producer of Die Films would decide to make a sequel that that and to be honest, I was surprised that this film was released 6 months after the first film.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the first Gamma film was released on November 29th in 1965, and Gamma versus Barugon was released somewhere in April in 1966.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and this is so crazy. I mean, it's kind of like when Godzilla versus or Mothra versus Godzilla released a few months before Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monsters was released, because both of these films was released in the same year, 1964.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just so crazy. They're really really rushing to make sequels that fast.
Well, they're trying to ride that gravy train when they hit the jackpot with the first movie, I guess.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, they really need to take time. I mean, I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, they did a really good job. I mean, they did take their time on the film. I mean, I don't know if they already started making the film before the first film was released, or if I'm mistaken. I mean, or they just started making the film after the first film was released in theaters. I mean, I don't know.
It could have been a multiple of things.
I don't know. Maybe the audience would know in the comments. I mean, if you think that this they started come up or making this film like before or after the original Gamma film was released in theaters, let us know in the comments below. Yeah. So yeah. So do you remember what that you watched the original trailer video of this film? Like that the the trailer of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember when they have the diamond Jin, like, is that what that giant statue is that was in the trailer will follow up with the Gamma versus Barugon?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
And
what you
did
mean.
you did you know that the Gamma versus Barugon wasn't the original idea for this film? The original idea for this film was actually going to be Gamma versus the Giant Icemen.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was usually that giant Icemans were taking over Japan to make a little freezing city, and then Gamma escapes from space to stop them. But that idea was scrapped.
Imagine seeing that one. That sounds actually very interesting.
Yeah, so they decided to take those characters out of the script, and decide to make its own movie called The Dimension. I don't know if I'm saying it correct.
It's you're pretty close to it.
Yeah, and to be honest, I never seen the Dimension trilogy series.
That's on my next to-do list, actually.
Oh, it's like your next unboxing video or your next movie review.
Movie review.
Oh, like man, I gotta watch these other movies. I gotta watch the Dimension trilogy.
Definitely a good little series.
Yeah, I maybe I can buy the Arrow Blu-ray collection of it soon.
It's definitely up there with like Gorgo and Young Gray and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, Gorgo and that I never seen before, and
Gorgo.
yeah, uh, along with War of the Gargantulas and Frankenstein versus Baragon, and I never seen those. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, if that was the have you watch one that definitely have to watch is definitely Gorgo.
Oh yeah, Gorgo. That's almost like a ripoff of Godzilla, right?
It was no, it was Britain's version of their kaiju. You know, every country had their own little kaiju, right? America
Yeah.
had King Kong, Japan had Godzilla, Korea had Young Gray, you know, so on, so on. Everybody was just pumping them out because of the success of Godzilla and King Kong.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know I mentioned Frankenstein versus Baragon. Speaking of Baragon, so I want to talk about how if Dai kind of give this character like a ripoff of Toho's kaiju, because they both almost have the same name or different names.
Yep. It
Yeah,
very well could be. I mean, I thought that at first myself, you know, older me thought that. Younger me, no, not so really. I didn't really put two and two together.
yeah, and because Baragon from Frankenstein Conquers the World, I mean, uh, that his name was different than this Baragon because let me get this straight of the names. This here is Baragon, and this one is Barugon.
Yep.
Yeah,
Don't forget
because
Bagon too.
what?
Don't forget Bagon too.
Huh? I never know there is another name for a kaiju.
Yep. Bagon's that Super NES villain that was in Godzibon that they're making a X Plus figure out of now.
Oh wait a minute, you talk about. Oh wait a minute, Bogon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. That was in a video game, but it was a canceled kaiju character.
Yep. He was supposed to be, I believe, the villain before they had Space Godzilla.
Oh
He
yeah,
was supposed to be the one.
and I actually did an unboxing video of the Bandai figure. That was like a month ago actually, or
Yep.
2 months ago.
What'd you think of it? Pretty good figure?
Oh yeah, that kaiju is definitely a Heisei Godzilla character. I just wish they kept him in the Heisei era.
Yeah. Well, we'll be getting X Plus of them here pretty soon.
Yeah, but let's talk about the Baragons. So I think Dai almost give this kaiju a ripoff of the Toho's kaiju, but I think they actually really changed his. I don't know how I'm trying to remember in my research. They actually came up with Barugon because I think it came from a reptile's name that's half of the name of it, if I remember it correctly. That I just I think they just used the letter U because they don't want to confuse people with Baragon from Frankenstein Conquers the World.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all I can know, and so that's pretty much all we know about the behind the scenes. And so let's talk about in the film that we all know that Gamera escapes from the Z plan, and I just love these flashbacks. They give you a little catch up with the from the first film. And so I want to talk about the plot and the characters. So what you think of them?
Well, some of the characters were definitely funny. Like when
Yeah,
they they go into the cave and they say, you know, the one line that really sticks with me, right? The scorpions will kill you in 15 seconds. Don't get stung by one. So they kill it on the wall, and then the guy pulls out his handkerchief and grabs it and says, "See," and then throws it down on the ground.
Yeah.
Handkerchief and all. Like, why would you do that? Like, all right, we seen you kill it, right? You didn't need to pick it up and slam it back down on the ground.
Yeah, I like that. And yeah, I remember two line versions from the dubs. I mean, in the IFP dub, he actually shoots it and then grabs it saying, "Scorpion, one bite and you're dead in 4 minutes." And then he just steps it. But in the Sandy Frank dub, he says, "Scorpion, size of an elephant. After that will be the end." I mean, that line is just doesn't make sense to me.
It's more you know, poor screenwriting, I would say.
Yeah, and no, I don't know, but that's what I like the AI the, the AIP dub version I like better. If you know in the Arrow Blu-ray, if you when you choose that language selection, I mean, you notice in the original cut of the DVD and the special features cut version, and they trim some of the scenes out, and but if you choose the the AIP language or the of the original Japanese cut, in a few scenes they like in the memes how they come up with a plan. I think if I'm guessing wrong, I haven't done a rewatch of it. I don't know if I pay attention, but I think they added some of the Sandy Frank dub language in the one of the mean scenes where they had the had those scenes cut in the US version.
Very well could have, you know.
Yeah, but I don't know, but I don't know if I'm correct, but it was just a guess. Kind of like when they did the all monsters attack. Oh wait, or the Gamma versus Giron attack of the monsters. They actually took the scenes of the Giles sliced head, and then they actually did that, and
Which is pretty cool.
yeah, and yeah, but I also there are a few lines and what I like from the Sandy Frank and the AIP dub. There are some lines that are my favorite, and some that I are not my favorite. But I also like in the AIP dub when he grabbed the opal, he was like, "I got it! I got it!" He's almost like sounds like a he sounds like a little cartoonish guy. But in the Sandy Frank dub, he's like, "Hey, it's here! It's here!"
Yeah,
like, we got
that
him.
was a
Look,
good part.
our
That was a
gamma
good
paid
part.
off.
Yeah. I mean, this movie had so many like great little scenes. You look back now, 30 plus years later, and you're like, wow, this this is gold.
Yeah, and yeah, but I don't like the opening water credits for the Sandy Frank version, and all you see is water, and then I prefer the original Japanese cut.
Yeah, a little better opening there.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you.
I mean, before we talk about more about the different dubs, I mean, they explain why they trying to find the opal because I think one of the main characters' brothers were in a they had an opal before it was hidden in a cave. They had it during World War II, if I'm guessing correct.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think they landed their plane on an island and they had it hidden in one of the caves and they it to they keep it from danger. But I think, as far as I can remember, I mean, I know I don't watch the Gamera's films that much. I mean, I think they found the wrong opal, which is an
And,
egg of
yeah.
Baragon, and
Yeah, they got lost in there. They went where they weren't supposed to go and grabbed the wrong thing and almost destroyed the world.
yeah, and also like when they landed on the island, they with the Natosaur, and they actually called that area where they hide the opal. They called the dead uh, called the Valley of Dead Rainbows. If I don't know if I'm saying it, if I remember the name right, and
It's something like that.
yeah, and I don't remember what the island is called. I mean, and this is one of my favorite Gamera films because this film was released in the same year that it has released one of my favorite Godzilla films of all time is Ebra Horror of the Deep. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
was
mean that was a good year for kaiju movies.
yeah. Imagine that both Gamera and a Godzilla film was both released in the same year, but took place on an island. Well, in that Gamera film, it only took place on an island for half of the film.
Yeah, but that was a big substantial part of the storyline.
Yeah, and so anyway, back to one of the dubs. I mean, yeah, like after he got stung by the scorpion. I mean, in the IIP dub, he after he got stung, his scream was a little less like like a shock, like oh. But in the Sandy Frank dub, is that's more like a really terrified scream. There, it's like
Yeah.
I like that scream better than the.
Then
It's
it
like
immediately just gets so like purple and infected and oh man.
yeah, like I know a scorpion. Yeah, yeah. That
And the guy's watching him the whole time. He sees the scorpion not saying nothing. Like, all right, I'm gonna see how this plays out.
yeah, because he is the main villain. He betrayed them because he just wants the opal for money.
Yeah,
That's
he's now let me ask you this. Where would you rate that villain among all the like kaiju movie villains, human villains? Because he's got to be pretty high. He was pretty ruthless.
yeah. He's just and he just like maybe he just signed up to join one of the brothers, and he's just it's just the plan to get rich and just get rid of them. He just wants the money.
Yeah, like when he goes to that the apartment building and kills the wife and then
Yeah,
slams
we'll get
slams the bookshelf.
yeah, we'll get to that, and then I want to talk about how that sting venom effect on the leg after he got that guy got stung. That when I saw this for the first time, as I was like, oh, ugh, is that
Yeah,
really a
that was
scorpion stung looks like?
well, they did kind of, they exaggerated it quite a bit to make you think, if you get stung by this, you're donezo. It's nothing else.
Yeah,
And I think they really did a good job pulling it off.
yeah, because that looks so realistic, and also it also freaked out my stepdad a little bit when we watched the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, as I love Mystery Science Theater 3000 when they did the Gamera films.
That was a
Yeah,
good
and
TV series.
yeah, it- yeah, my stepdad he is a big fan of Mystery Science Theater. Yeah, yeah, that's how that got me. These yeah, Mystery Science Theater is the one who got me into Gamera more.
Oh, really?
Yep. Right after my uncle introduced me to GAMERA. Yeah, Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's what got me into a big GAMERA fan more.
I think at least in my area, I'm not sure about your area, but when the Gamma movies started coming out here to Americas, uh, they were very far and few. It was super hard to find these Gamma movies back in the day. On
Yeah.
VHS and all that, super hard. Heck, it was even hard to find some Godzilla movies. But to find a Gamma, you were lucky.
Yeah. And then and it was like and the one GAMERA film that is so hard to find is GAMERA the Brave, which is very hard to find. And but thanks to Arrow Video Blu-ray, is they finally discovered and watched it.
Yeah, especially nowadays. Nowadays, you can watch anything you ever need. There is no excuses nowadays.
Yeah, and yeah, I looked at it when he was like when that guy got stung by the scorpion. He said like the venom effect. It kind of it blind the guy because of the venom effects.
Yeah, he
I don't know
can't
if
see.
I don't know if some scorpions can do that after you got stung, but I don't know.
I would imagine.
Yeah, believe me, I'm afraid of scorpions and spiders.
Oh yeah, I'm there with you with spiders.
Yeah,
No way, Jose.
yeah, I already have a spider kaiju enemy, Kamanga.
Yeah. The spider comes in here, it's big enough. I'm gonna leave. It owns this house now. I'm out. See ya.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I also love when the villain just throws the one of the grenades and then just like, let the one of the brothers there, but one of them survives. And
Yeah.
yeah, I love the moment when he told him like, "Come on, you gotta snap out of it. We got the opal. I better I better take care of it." He just he just looks up and he knows that he what that guy was planning to do, and he's like, "What's the matter? Don't you trust me?"
Yeah.
He guys, he knows what he was gonna do. He said, "Sure, I'll trust you, but I keep the gun." And he just did like
That was a good part. I like that. That was good.
yeah, and also let's talk about how Baragon first hatched from the opal. I mean, we all know the opal was an egg, but
Yeah.
how did it affected it? Because it was affected by the heater.
Yeah, like the heat rays from the lamp or the ultraviolet lights or whatever that thing was that was
I
supposed
think
to
they
work on
said
his
it that
butt.
I think they said that the heater, the light was actually made of has a few radiation on it because the bagger was trying to because he has a scar wound on his leg and he keep the lamp on it because to heal it because the lamp has some radiation to it.
Yeah, very well could be, I mean, wouldn't put it past me back then.
Yeah, and then as you know that I also forgot to mention that there were also two hand puppets for Baragon. One is for the lake scene when Gamera was drowning him. With with the lights on his eyes came on and
Yeah.
and when he was hatched, and the second one was for when he was hatching from the egg. And that is
Cute
like a
little hatch.
yeah, and it kind of looks that puppet there. It kind of almost looked like they actually used like an looks like they actually use a stuffed lizard or iguana that they use. I don't know. I think they use like a stuffed chameleon or whatever those reptiles they use, and I think they use them for a hand puppet for the hatching scene.
Yeah,
If
that, I
I'm
mean, that's a good theory right there. That's not a bad yeah.
yeah, and yeah, I gotta say, and it's so wow. We almost have like almost 15 minutes left. I mean, almost an hour. So, where are some of your thoughts about the film, or some scenes that are your favorites?
Favorite, I would definitely have to say when he shot the rainbow beam. Is there an official name for that attack?
I maybe they call it a rainbow ray, or
Rainbow ray. Let's go with that. When he shot the rainbow ray and they used the mirror to deflect it back onto him, and then they're like, "We can't do it again. When animals get hurt, they never do the same move again."
yeah, because the Baragon is starting to get smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and all. One of my favorite parts. I mean, I know I like the monster fights, and I know some of the human parts are a little boring, but I think one of my favorite parts that I'm kind of more interested of the humans fights.
Yeah, yes, because this was more of a human-based horror movie.
Yeah, I also love the part when the villain was having a meeting with one of the brothers from the World War II, and then with the cane, and he says, "Is it?" But he explained that he lost the opal in his suit pocket; it was drained. And I liked when he was at the guy's house and trying to discuss it, how to trade for money. If you know the opal was still drowned in the ocean, and he said, I said, "Yo, if there's still time, we had to discuss this now." And he says, "Let's just wait until we know more." And, uh, and he just blurted out that he committed the murder of the two brothers. He
Yeah,
just he just admitted. It's
yeah,
like,
he didn't care. He
yeah, he
didn't
didn't think this
care.
through. He was like, "We don't have time for this. I had to kill 12 men for that jewel." And it was like, "Oh, did you murder my brother?" I like he said it like I meant they're giving their lives for themselves, or it's like I meant the two have to sacrifice themselves.
He had that day. That day, he had his black Air Force Ones on. He did not care about nothing.
Yeah, he's just playing innocent, but he just doesn't care. Like it's but the Sandy Frank dub, I don't like the way he just said like no, no. I like the AIP dub version. He say no, da, da, da. No, da, da, da. I like that part. And then they get into a violent fight scene. They say, you tell my brother. And then the wife's trying to stop
Yeah, yeah,
the.
like all right. Now was that when she does that oh, was that suggesting that she died there?
That I'm kind of lost to that. I mean, I don't know, is she like fainted or she just really
Right.
died at this?
Like she, it looked like she got punched in the back, she fell on the couch, and then like I don't know if that's supposed to mean she like hit her head or snapped her neck there or
I have no idea.
to this day I still don't know. As many times as I've watched that part, I still don't know to this day. And I'll
Yeah.
probably never know.
And whatever they do, I hope they don't hit the flammable reindeer. That's my Mystery Science Theater 3000 references.
That show, oh my god. That show was amazing.
Yeah, I gotta watch those. Yeah, I gotta watch those when I'm trying to do research of the GAMERA films. And
They're just a fun to watch them, period.
Yeah, and all that, and
I
yeah,
remember watching them late night on Sci-Fi Channel.
yeah, and yeah, I never talked about that much about Mystery Science Theater in my previous Gamera episode, and yeah, so and I love the Baragon episode that they did, and especially the one scene that Tom Sorvol does like a ridiculous playset commercial that he does with the monster setups and the battlefield soldiers. He's just speeding up to say it's like much, 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 much more. Also available now. Please sure to get there and get your items there. Mommy, mommy.
that that show will probably never get old.
Yeah, and I don't know if I still have the Shout Factory DVD of it, but
Oh, that's awesome.
I know that Shout Factory has its own streaming channel. If you want to find that on that.
Oh, really? That I didn't know. I didn't know they had their own streaming thing going on.
Yeah, and I think it's free. The Shout Factory stream is free.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely need to watch these. Yeah, so
you should.
Yes, but back to the fight scenes. I mean, before we get to the second human fight scene, I mean, I also forgot to mention. I mean, when Baragon after he froze, like, I mean, you do notice he did walk past the house that the two guys fighting, and then when he was walking past that, when the camera was it was filming, and then they actually did like another shot, and he's like after you walk past it, the house is just frozen.
Yeah, because I think they were trying to go for, he's, at least my understanding, he was freezing everything in his wake of destruction to get his gems.
Yeah, and and the other fight scene was like it's so good too, and you can see like other guy is stronger than him, and this girl named Kate. I mean, is this how I remember? I mean, she helped him out too, and then by hitting that guy, hitting that guy's head with a beer bottle.
In the bar, yeah.
Yeah, there was a more interesting than the monster fight, and
the little bit of the monster fight.
Yeah, that guy, he's just playing innocent. He says, I don't know anything. He's just,
he knew.
Yeah, he's just, yeah, they did tie him up, and then let's talk. I don't know if you want to talk about the one surprising scene and a shocking moment that after that guy's hand was cut, it was bleeding, and I'm just so shocked that Kate, the main native girl, she just kind of sucked that guy's blood. I was shocked. Like, wait, I don't remember this part.
Maybe it's part of the customs. I don't know. It was. Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you.
Yeah, I don't know. She's more like a native vampire.
Yeah, it was definitely something. It really was.
Yeah. Looks like we only got a few moments left. I mean, so is there any more thoughts that you have about this film?
I mean, if the people in chat haven't watched it, I really suggest they should go watch it. This is, to me, I have to put this up there with Godzilla 54. Maybe not on the same level as 54, but it is a great horror kaiju movie. You're not really there for the kaiju fights because they're really not none there. It's just more or less the horror of it. Harry's coming. He's going to freeze everything. He's going to shoot his rainbow ray at us and destroy everything. It was just a horror movie.
Yeah, and Baragon, or Barugon. I mean, I'm just gonna call him Baragon. I mean, he is a one cool looking kaiju.
Yes.
I mean, they never brought him back in the sequels or the new Netflix anime series, but they
Hey, that
did
might be
bring,
for season 2.
yeah, and I mean, Baragon, he was the first monster that Gamera ever fight.
Yep.
But they did bring him back in a few in the Shona Gamera films, but only stock footage.
Hey, maybe it's a future up and coming Gamera movie. We can only hope because he is, like you said, he is the awesome kaiju. He really is.
Yeah, and what I heard that they were gonna bring Baragon back in Gamera 2 Attack of Legions, but they decided just to front a new kaiju villain.
Well, maybe one day they'll bring him back. You know,
Yeah, and I
because like I
never
said, he's awesome.
Yeah, he is. I mean, and I never watched the anime Netflix series, but I had to give that show a try.
Oh my God, you'll love it. You'll love it.
Yeah, I mean, since I watched the anime trilogy of the Godzilla Planet films, which they are my least favorite, and
You know,
the Godzilla Signature Point series.
Singularity Point was too complicated. Let's just be honest. It's too complicated for what it was. The Earth Godzilla, I love that design, love it, but the storyline was crap.
Yeah,
And the Gamera was head and toes above all of them. It was so fantastic.
yeah, and all
And
that,
don't
and
watch the Kong. I'm just telling you for your own safety. Don't watch the Kong anime.
oh, the Kong Skull Island one.
Yes, it's horrible.
uh, yeah, but yeah, Baragon's a cool character. I mean, also what I left out during the monster fight in the end, after Gamera fights Baragon, after he drags him in the lake. What I heard that scene, it took them forever to film that shot because they're having a hard time like drowning the costume in the water.
Because they had to go super deep with it.
Yeah, because the
It was
suit,
floating.
yeah, because the suit was floating and all that, and they tried to fill up the suit with water, and it still wouldn't drown.
I mean, it makes sense to try to put a big balloon like that and try to push it down. You know, it's. I understand why they're having issues. Yeah, it's just the thing to do water for them was just a bad idea.
Yeah, but they did found a way. They actually disconnect the head. Like they
Uh,
actually like cut the head and just have it just trying to make it drown, like when because inside the suit of the head, because it has like a little space, and then
yeah.
yeah, and they did find a way, and they actually worked this time.
Hey, they got it.
Yeah, and I'm glad they did, and
It was a
I also
fantastic movie.
yeah, I give this film 10 out of 10.
10 out
Which,
of 10.
yep. And it's so weird. I mean, this is the first time I ever did movie ratings in a long while.
What'd you give the first one?
I give this first one like 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I give BARUGON 10 out of 10. And all that. And I.
Me. Go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
Me, I'll give it, let's say, a solid 8 out of 10. I only say that because, the way to hurt them is water, and some corny dialogue, written out in some of the roles. But other than that, like I said before, I mean it's an awesome, solid horror movie monster.
Yeah. Movie. And I really like the AIP dub like version of it, and because that one is from my childhood. I like that one better than the Sandy Frank dub.
And your childhood movies always have a better special connection with you.
Yeah. And also I never know how BARUGON's war sound effect was made out of.
Yeah, it was now that you bring that up, it was a unique roar.
Yeah.
It really was.
Like his two versions of his war. I mean, the other one is screeching sound like it almost sounds like a paper shredder machine.
I mean, yeah, a lot of these roars and kaijus are it's very creative how they come up with it.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it looks like that's just about that time, and I'll never forget I laughed so hard that the BARUGON ate the villain, and he was.
Oh yeah, the tongue.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
He's like, I'm going down with my diamond.
Yeah, that scene always gets to me. Like the villain, he just drove a boat right in the middle of the good guy's plan. I mean, he just climbs aboard. He just pushes it out of the way. He just tries to grab it and say, "I want the diamond."
He wasn't playing around. He was getting that diamond one way or another.
Hey, he just grabbed that in the bad timing because he doesn't know if there's like soldiers on that boat. You do notice that.
Yeah, and then he sees on the boat. He's just shooting at him. We're down at the ground.
Yeah, but he did have a gun with him and say, "Yes, I'll shoot whoever moves."
Yeah. that was a good one. All right. I pushed it up to it was a 9 out of 10. I'll give it a 9 out of 10 just because of that.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have to say about the film, and again, this is one of my favorite Gamera films of all time in the Shona era, and it's one of the first in color. Yeah, and yeah, so I want to thank you, Gfan 84, for joining me in this podcast episode, and yeah, and I know it's been difficult to figure out the plans, and we have been canceling this episode for a few days because of our schedules and our plans and all that, but we finally got to do it, and
yes, we did. We finally got to make this happen, and I want to thank you very much for allowing me to come on and have this episode with you. I very much appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Hey, you're welcome, and all of you guys in the comments, and if you are watching this, please subscribe to Gfan 84 to watch one of his review and unboxing videos.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more podcasts and unboxing videos for Autistic Lizard Pros. Yeah, coming soon. So until next time, so the next Gamera film will be Gamera versus Gauss, aka Return of the Giant Monsters. And I also forgot to mention that both versions of the dub, they call them Gamera and Gamera.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said this: kaiju monsters always seem to have two different names.
Yeah, really, the names really bother me of the name difference, but I'll explain it in my next episode. So yeah, so thank you all for watching, and till next time, as saying in Japanese for Kobogai, Sayonara.